product. So John's going to welcome John. John Jackson's our, as I said earlier, our solution architect who manages a technical team here in Australia and New Zealand. And John's going to take you through a live demo of the product. So we'll let him walk through. Feel free to ask questions if you have them.
Excellent, thanks Jake. So earlier on we saw the opening video, we saw the Connect client in action. We heard from Mark as well, and Mark introduced the client and talked about our different clients. What I want to do briefly is really just have a look at the user experience from both a PC and a Mac perspective. It is a Mac here, but I am running both. Now, I didn't think I was here for a free lunch, but apparently I've been set the challenge to not use a demonstration system, not use something that's under the tablecloth here, but to actually use our live production system and use my real account. So, straight off the bat, this is my real account. So if instant messages do pop up and I get a couple of phone calls, they're actually real. And so I'll deal with it in that. Saying that, because we're not in the ShoreTel office, I'm at the mercy of this guy. So I'm using all the internet for connectivity back to the corporate office, through the internet, back to the US, here, back to Australia, and so on. So the NBN. Sorry? The NBN. And I'm very thankful there isn't a cruise ship here with 3,000 passengers also fighting for the same bandwidth as they arrive in the country. So right on cue, you can see that right in the middle there, that a voicemail message has just popped up from a phone number. So again, it is real. That was maybe someone dialing from my business card, dialing my real number to see whether it was true or something along those lines. But all right. So let me introduce the client, and just phrase it at the front there. It's sort of up and it's 6 foot high there on the big screen. But this is a PC desktop, and this is the Connect client. And the first thing you'll see, the first things that come to mind are clean, crisp, not a lot of buttons, so nice and easy to use. A very simple, well laid out interface. And I'm not going to go through every feature, but just a few key ones. So first of all, you can see my name there, and I'm currently, from a presence perspective, I'm actually in a meeting, and the reason for that is, well, I didn't want it to ring and so on. So I might actually just change that briefly. Now, changing availability, changing presence, is something I can certainly do manually here. It can certainly be triggered by my email calendar, for instance. If I'm in a meeting, well, I want to update everyone in the corporation that I'm in a meeting. I might just say that I'm actually, at the moment, I'm just going to put myself on a custom one. I'm going to make myself available. I'm actually going to let the corporation know that I'm effectively in a live demo. So from that perspective, I am available, but people looking at my presence and so on actually see them in a live demo. And hopefully that means that some of the communications that want to pop up without me knowing are suitable for the big screen. Of course they will. And so on. So presence is one of those things that, yes, I can change manually. It can be changed in relation to my calendar, but even these things, smartwatches. I could be on the run and I've left the office and I want to quickly place myself in a meeting so that my calls go to my colleague, my team, the customer service center, and so on. So something in those presence could be either done manually or automated, or again on the run by those smartwatches as well. So what does it mean from a presence perspective? Well, if I'm in a meeting, I want to treat my communications. I want it to go to colleagues. I want it to go to teammates, executive assistants, those type of things. But I also might want some advanced rules. And one of the great features of the new Connect is that I can actually have what we call power routing rules. I'll just wait for that one to come up. So from a routing perspective, here is my routing screen. And again, I'm not going to go through every feature and function, but if you notice on the screen there, it says my basic routing rules. Start wizard. Everything has to be simple. A nice wizard to, well, what happens when you are in a meeting? Where do your calls go? Do you want to simultaneously ring your mobility client, maybe on an iPad or an iPhone or an Android or something along those lines? How do I want to treat my calls? So that's my basic routing. But then when we look across, we have what we call power routing rules. And power routing rules, and I've got a lot of terms for these, but power routing rules are, maybe I want to put something above and beyond a traditional rule. A traditional rule says, I'm in a meeting, my calls go to voicemail. I'm in a meeting, my calls go to executive assistant. What if the CEO calls? What if Mark Roberts calls? What if my team call me on a Sunday? I can set up power routing rules, think of it like your email rules. If I receive an email from this person, it goes to this mailbox or it forwards to this distribution list and so on. Well, I can do that with my communications. So suddenly in power routing rules, I can do things like, well, even though I'm diverted to voicemail, if the number matches, it's part of my team internally. It is marked. It is Sunday between 10 and 12. I want it to go to my mobile, not to the customer service centre and so on. So all of these rules could be set up in the background. So when I leave the office or my calendar says I'm out of the office or in a meeting, they're triggered and they're active and routing my communications how I want to receive them. Of course, from a client perspective, we have all the presence capabilities. If I click on my People tab, Mark introduced the concept of groups. Now, when we look at the presence and the availability of our teammates, colleagues, and so on, it comes down to a personal choice. I myself, when I press my People tab, I have a list of the people that I pretty much interact with all the time, and the star indicates that on the right-hand side. The star is indicating that these are my favourites. So I can see at a glance that the birthday girl there, Linda Motherwell, is here as well. And she's even got a note there saying happy birthday. I had to say it. I had to say that because when I opened up Linda's contact tab there to start having, and I can say it again because I said it earlier, you not only see the messages now, but you see a history. And you're seeing a history of telephone calls and a history of other things. And Linda thought she was here for a nice birthday lunch. But, all here for her. But yeah, from an instant messaging perspective, you have all of that capability as well. And there's just responding. You can see the three bubbles there as Linda is typing. Linda's actually on her mobile phone. So she's on ShoreTel mobility on her device and.
Are you captain? Is that what the saying is?
Yeah, I'm captain of the industry.
All right. But as Mark introduced earlier, I can quickly view that as groups. Now my conversation doesn't go away from Linda. You can see in the conversations area on the left that I've got an open one with Linda. I've also got one with my colleague in Melbourne, Craig Howe. Conversation, and well above that, I'm also getting notified of voicemail. From a group perspective, and Mark introduced collaboration with the teams, with the groups, and so on. One of the great features of Connect is it now makes it very easy to set up that collaboration session. You can see I've clicked on the Sydney team. Straight away I see the presence, I see the people in the Sydney team. But say for instance I wanted to have or schedule a quick meeting with that entire office. So straight from the client, I could schedule a meeting with the group. Now, what's actually happened from the client? You see the client is expanding and contracting. It's out of the way when I don't need it. When I need detail, it expands out. So now it's allowing me to schedule a collaboration session with the entire Sydney office. So with a single click, it's added everyone into the invite. Now I can start to put together the framework of that meeting. Now what is the title of the meeting? Let's call it the, oops, sorry. My cursor up the top there. Let's call it the Now meeting. Let's change the date. Let's go, it's going to happen on this Sunday. That'll annoy everyone that it's a Sunday meeting. It'll surprise them in their inbox. The location, well, it's going to be here. Meeting type. By default, it defaults to a collaboration. Collaboration being when we all join, we're all presenters, we can all share, we can all collaborate. But quite easily, I can drop that down and make that presentation. It's distance learning. I'm going to present. Everyone else now doesn't have the controls to share their desktop, but it's a true presentation. So we'll leave it as collaborative. So effectively, everyone gets the controls to share and interact and so on. One of the really good features from the new features is being able to set an agenda within this framework. So I might have maybe just a 5-minute intro, an introduction for 5 minutes. We might have topic 1 goes for 20 minutes. Topic 2 goes for topic 2 goes for another 20 minutes. 20 minutes. and maybe a summary at the end. Now, as you can see, I'm doing this. It's building that timeline below of the agenda, and maybe a 15-minute summary. So straight away, you're starting to see a visual indication of how our collaborative session, our conference call is going to be broken up. Nicely color-coded. It is the here and now meeting. And I think I heard Mark earlier say that we're integrating with third parties. So for instance, Dropbox, I might have a presentation that I want to share. So quite easily I could say, well, my files for this conference are actually located in the Dropbox. So click on the Dropbox and they'll choose these from my account. Again, this is going out to real Dropbox. This is not a can. I click on that one. All right, I'm happy with that presentation. All right, now I'm just going to pause there. And the reason I'm pausing there, I'm going to hit the create invite button. I want to talk about what's happening and some of the options. So the first thing is, I've created that and it was very high level information, very easy, very simple to follow, to fill in and create that conference or collaboration session. You'll notice there is a drop-down arrow. So if you want to get into the detail, have very specific passwords, announce names as people enter and exit the call and things like that. You'll notice that there is still a number of other settings that we can interact with. It's not the easiest while I'm standing up. As you can see, as I can scroll down there, you can see all of those different settings to make the conference call either very restricted with additional passwords, more notifications of who's entering and who's exiting and so on, but I didn't need to create that conference. So what's happened, quicker than I could talk about it, what actually happened in the background was, from that Connect client, it went into the collaboration infrastructure, into the Connect infrastructure, it created the conference, it reserved it, it set up the passwords. Then it went into the Outlook infrastructure, and it formatted an invite for that conference call, for that collaboration session. It addressed that. It created the meeting invite, which I can now press send. But as you can see, for the actual formatting of that invite, all that information I put in Connect is now populated. The key area is the agenda timeline. So you're seeing that timeline. Now that timeline is not just in the meeting invite. You saw in the video at the start, everyone who enters the collaboration session sees that timeline. So if you enter at the 10-minute mark, you will see that you've entered at the 10-minute mark. If you happen to be a presenter of topic 1, and suddenly you see the little counter in topic 2 while you are on the call, you know you've exceeded your time. And I'm one of those. You know, whereas this way, you're not only seeing how the call is going to be broken up, or the collaboration session is going to be broken up, it's going to be tracked throughout that interaction. And of course, you have all the links on that invite to join the session, the URL by the EXO client that Mark introduced, telephone numbers to dial in, and all of those options to join that session. So quite easy from that perspective. The actual Connect client, it basically knows that it automatically created that Outlook, and it's giving me a reminder, don't forget to send that via your Outlook client when I'm ready to send it. I'm actually not going to send it because it is the whole Sydney office that I just sent for that Sydney collaboration session. Go on. Right there, weekend. Right there, weekend.
What happens if you invite a non-ShoreTel person into that?
So it'll just be an email address. So I could actually manually add email addresses.
Okay. And what would we get?
You will see exactly that. So from an invite perspective, you will see exactly that.
So what would we get from an interaction perspective in the meeting?
From an interaction perspective, if you're not part of ShoreTel, you will enter via the EXO client that Mark had up earlier. So any browser and straight in. So you'll see that same timeline.
Downloading the app.
Correct.
It runs in the browser. So if you send me that and I've got it on my phone, will I be able to video into that from my phone directly?
So within the browser itself, you have a soft phone, so you just connect straight into it.
Okay.
There's no download that goes with it, etc. So you get a soft phone collaboration.
So even on my phone? Even on my phone?
Yeah. It's a browser. It's a browser. So as you can see, it's very easy. The client, very simple to use. It expands out, gives us all the fields to fill in for that session, and contracts back when we've finished and we're back to our normal settings. Some of the other settings there, my recents, and that is not part of the demonstration. No, I just sent it for voicemail. He probably did read my status, that's the thing, and goes, I know John is on a live demonstration, let's see if he can tap in.
Yes.
Does your system ever gather any sort of statistics as to how much people actually use all these rich features that you have? I mean, it seems to me a lot of people find it hard to get to grips with just what the thing can do when you use a very small number of features. I just wonder if you ever try and get a handle on how well they use and try and do anything to educate users of usage of it.
Certainly at a client level, not so much at an individual feature level, but from an experience perspective, if the thing does 100 features, you're right, a person may do 6, but that's a different 6 to Jamie users, to my users, and so on. But I'm not aware of any reporting down to a specific feature level. Of course, conferencing, we can report on utilization, who's attending, all of those type of things, so you're going to get that sort of those type of statistics. But did they say that they put themselves in a meeting? I'm not sure you get to that for anyone.
Yeah, I just sort of wondered how vital this feature is.
No, you go.
I'll do this super quick. On the video at the beginning, obviously, she showed him his office.
Yes.
Sorry, using her camera. So obviously, you put a webcam or a camera. You can video conference as well. Yeah.
Definitely. So from a client perspective, so first of all, the client can be just a client, which is doing your audio, video, taking a control of a video device on the PC. The client can also control a phone. So if you happen to be next to a phone, the client can control the phone. But then the UC and the whole Connect platform extends out to mobility. So what you saw in that video was using ShoreTel mobility on, I think it might have been an Android on there, but it was a smartphone device as well. So suddenly you can have mobility with video, to the desktop with video, iPhone to Android, and so on, because it's all ShoreTel connected across the whole suite. Correct, ShoreTel. And when Linda responded to my email, that was part of the ShoreTel mobility application. She was using the instant messaging functionality of that same client. Hitting on the recents, recents I can see pretty much everything. So whether it happened to be missed telephone calls, missed voicemails, instant messages I may have missed, and so on. I can certainly filter based on that. So at the moment, if I filter based on voicemails, I have a couple sitting in my account. At the very last piece, the events. So things like looking at my calendar, for instance. Do I have any collaboration sessions coming up? And quite easily, being able to open those and quite easily join from that single click. So whether you're on the mobile device and you've got a join to join a collaboration session, like you saw in the video, whether we're doing it from a desktop perspective. So all integrated into the client itself. Now one of the main points Mark introduced was that one user experience. And what I want to just finish off here is that this is a PC up on the screen. This is a PC. We've got some smartphones around the room. We've got some smart watches and so on. But just whether it's on site or whether it's hybrid, whether it's cloud, that one user experience, whether it's Android or whether it's Apple, but same thing at the desktop, whether it's PC or Mac. So to give you an example of how different my client looks like in a Mac world, well, there's my Mac client. So suddenly I've just switched from PC to Mac, and there's my Mac. If I click on my People's tab, it looks exactly the same. It functions and so on. So up here as part of the demonstration, I'm actually running both side by side with my production user account, one on Mac and one on PC. So correct. And this is where I'm logged into both PC and Mac as John Jackson, and you can see at the top there, John Jackson, currently available there. And we still have all our Sydney group access and so on. So whether it be Mac or PC, the Connect client, same user experience, same look and feel, easy to use, clean, crisp. I probably should have got the background with the Harbour Bridge, so it sort of filled in your view out the window rather than the mountains there. But, so as I say, very, very brief look at it. We've covered both PC and Mac, but a very brief introduction to the Connect client.
Thanks, John. Yeah. Thanks, John. Have any questions? Any specific questions on the client?
I don't have any questions, but I have a comment. I think certainly having the multi-platform approach is a clear differentiator. Like if you just have to look at the competitors and try and run their 4-generation-old Mac clients, they suck. They suck big time. So I think, from my point of view, that's a very strong statement. Particularly as more organisations have multi-platform environments, a lot of people use Macs in business environments, and it's very missing from other platforms. People are very close to that.
Just about cloud connections, I mean, you mentioned that you highlighted Dropbox as one cloud connector. Do you have like an API or an ecosystem that would allow anything from Dropbox to Salesforce to NetSuite to anything else out there in the cloud? Okay.
Yeah, the short answer is yes, we do, but obviously that takes time to get people into an ecosystem to play, or you're doing it yourself. Those tend to kind of fall into two categories. They're normally smaller than you and they're more interested in integrating into what you've got. And then there's the larger players like a Dropbox or Salesforce, for example. We're interested in having that integration, so we're doing the work for it. So I tend to kind of loosely put them into two categories. The ability to do it is absolutely there, and it's kind of a timeline of where you go hunting first and who you engage with first to make sure you've got the integration. I think that's critical as you go forward. It's that stickiness and the integration stories. That's really the key point for sure.
I guess the question is it fair to say that you really don't need a handset?
No.
It's really a soft phone world, businesses are very much receptive to that now these days.
That's funny, I was having a conversation with you here and talking about, I can't recall the last time that I actually used the handset, which was, I guess, might have been in the office, but probably not, frankly. As I tend to use a headset and my phone, and I use the mobility client that's on there. I don't use that desk phone that often.
You raised that point when Laser came in, and I said, well, I'm sure this is yourself, senior executive. I thought there were a lot of people in fairly low-level positions in offices around the world who would still be largely using their desk phone. He disagreed with me. He said it's probably true in government, but in enterprise, the desk phone is gone. So I don't know.
Yeah,
you see.
For us, our stance would be okay. Whether you want that desk phone and it's there and it's continually available, or whether you'd be fine with a mobile client. We have deployments where you've got both going on, and it doesn't seem to be related to a vertical either. An example would be, there's a particular company in being in the US, I apologize for the out of theatre reference for it, but they moved completely to clients, soft clients. There's no phones in the company at all. And they're in construction, and that's an industry that typically you don't look at thinking, okay, it's on the front edge of taking this approach, and yet here they are. They're going to go, we don't need the phones.
Yeah, but you can't slam someone down on a soft phone. Slam the phone down on someone, especially in construction.
That's how angry we are.
You can with your iPhone, but it costs you a lot of money each time you do it. So you're right, you back to your personal device and a lot more attached to it.
What about wearables? I mean, you've got, is there going to be a client for the watch? I know a couple, I've seen a few comms clients now. Some of
Client for the Let me show you a real life demo right now. We've got one
so
over
can
there,
you answer?
Yes.
Yeah, we do.
So you've got the full voice.
John can show you.
We'll show you in a second.
Oh, it's all right.
Actually,
I believe you.
no, we've got to show you now. You've asked.
It's a yes or no question.
Yes.
So I think the key thing is to your point, we give the tools to our customers and let them choose how they want to communicate. And I think the reality of the world is different users in different jobs have different ways to communicate. If you're desk bound, you're always using a phone, you may tend to use that desk. If you're a roaming worker, then you might use a mix of both or whatever. I think the key is we don't care, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the use cases change.
Yeah.
I mean, I never thought I'd ever answer phone calls on my watch. and I kind of do now because I keep losing my phone. Like, it's like I leave it on the kitchen bench, and I'm like, "Where's my phone?" You know.
Yeah.
Which one? So the use cases.
Different generations of workers too.
Yeah, and I'm only young. So
It strikes me
being
in
in
the
my 20s.
presentation that this is very desktop oriented. How much of your client base is shifting across to mobile?
Yeah, that is a good. I mean, that is the real key point, right? How much of it is heading that way? It tends to be facets within inside an organisation shifting mobile. I don't want to give the impression that and through the presentation that all of a sudden everybody's using a client on a laptop as the approach. That's simply not true. And yet, you can also quote extreme examples like a construction company where it's all that way immediately. In terms of a acceptance or adoptance of the mobile client itself, it's in the low teens. And the typical installation is still heavily skewed towards you've got a handset that's there, you want that, almost the lowest common denominator. But more and more we're seeing that desire, that flexibility for whatever version I want to use.
See you next time.
You have to advertise it when you sell your first app-only mobile deal, where they don't buy any handsets and all they buy is the app. You sell just for mobile.
So we actually did, funnily enough, we actually sold a wrestling in construction. It was a smaller deployment, but well, when I say small,
Ruggedized mobile.
50 people, and all they bought was the mobile and mobility client.
That's fantastic.
And stuff like that. Yeah. So we can't mention the name of it yet. We haven't got that approval. It's an Adelaide-based customer. 50 people in construction, and they didn't want any handsets at all.
Adelaide Brighton? Is it?
No.
Close.